this is Faith at Faith and Books. How are you doing? It is June 26th, and I'm going to make a quick video this morning because it's going to be a very busy morning. And then in the afternoon, I don't know. By the time the afternoon comes along, I don't have the motivation to make videos, so it seems harder. But anyway, so June has been kind of a slumpy month for me. I've been really distracted by other things, and so it took me a while to get things read. I have lots of ongoing reading that I'm doing right now, but I thought I'd just do a little bit of a wrap up. It's June 26th, and because I finally finished the main book that I've been struggling through all June. June was crazy because the first 2 weeks I was watching both my grandsons. So usually the 4-year-old's in preschool in the morning, but his preschool had ended, so I had both the 4 and the 2-year-old all day. So that was a little bit, I don't know, I think that just took the wind out of my sails, and I just stopped being able to focus very well or get much reading done. And then I guess I was kind of preoccupied by my husband's hip replacement surgery, which went well, but he's in the middle of recuperating from it. So the PT, that's one of the things that's happening this morning, is the PT, is the physical therapist is coming. Anyway, so in June, I've only finished 2 books. The one at the beginning of June was The Moon Spinners by Mary Stewart, which was a fun, light read. It's a light suspense, light romance, and I enjoy Mary Stewart. I feel like she's a very feminine author, though. I wonder if guys read Mary Stewart books. Anyway, that's the 3rd one that I've read. I've read Rose Cottage was the first one, and then I read Wildfire at Midnight, and now I've read The Moon Spinners. So it really made me want to go to Greece. So that was a good book. And then for June on the Range, I was going to read this one, English Creek by Ivan Doig. And for some reason, it just took me 3 weeks to read this book. And it's a great book. I really enjoyed it, and I think the author is a very good writer. But for some reason, it was a slow read for me. Like I said, I had other stuff going on. So I think this is what you call literary fiction. So this isn't like a pulpy Western. It's a good story. It's told from the point of view of a 14-year-old boy, and the summer before he turns 15, it's the summer of 1939, and they live in Montana, just outside Glacier National Park, and his father was a sheep rancher, maybe. He didn't own the ranch. He was a helper. He was a worker on ranches, and then he became a ranger for the Two Medicine National Forest. Now this is sort of based on Ivan Doig's life, but it's also fictionalized. So it's one of those books that has this nice map, and really the landscape and the weather and the whole topography and everything is really almost like a character in the book. Anyway, it's told from this 14-year-old's point of view, just the things that happened that summer, and the pacing is weird. It's almost like it's 3 novellas put together. The first one is just about the beginning of the summer. It's all set in the summer. This week he has where all these issues are raised, and it's, I don't want to spoil it for you. And then in the middle of the book, like 100 pages, is just about the 4th of July, like from waking up to when he goes to bed, and it's just his whole experience of the 4th of July. And then the last third of the book is about the rest of summer. And it's so the reason why Ivan Doig is such a good writer is that he writes in the vernacular of these sort of cowboys, or they're really more into sheep. Some are into cows, some are into sheep. He writes in their vernacular. It says here something like, I read somewhere here in a review where they compared him to Mark Twain and that his use of the vernacular, but I think his use is almost more skilled, because I think Mark Twain used that vernacular as sort of a source of almost like satirizing or kind of mocking characters, where here it doesn't, even though the vernacular is very colorful and often humorous. It just sort of immerses you in the culture of the time. It's such a good portrait of the life of these it was very hard scrabble, tough physical life in this rugged but gorgeous scenario, and just the whole you just all the different characters. It just is very vibrant. And the two things I noticed the most was how much they drank. I think that's how they, these guys are all tough, right? But really, they all leaned on the bottle to get by. And what was the other thing that I noticed? Oh, it just is so intensely about work. Like this 14-year-old is doing all this work, this really hard physical labor. He's out with his father has to, as a ranger in the national forest, has to make an inventory of all the livestock, and so that are using the national forest, and so he has to go out riding, over the mountains to these different ranches and help count the animals, and so it's very physically hard. And then he's digging a hole for their new outhouse. The 14-year-old has to do it. And then haymaking. It's just really, and you can see on the cover, they kind of give it away. They have to fight forest fires. It was a good book. It really creates a great, like almost tapestry of the landscape and the people that are there and their life. I thought it was good, so I enjoyed this very much. Although it took me forever to read it. And the one thing I didn't like about it was the, how do you say that, denouement at the end. He kind of ties everything up, and I think it should have just ended at the end of that summer, because it's a trilogy. So it turned into a trilogy. I don't understand how the second book, if he's already wrapped everything up in the guy's life, can there be a second book and a third book? So that I didn't expect that, and I really thought that the book would have been more effective if it had just stopped. But anyway, it was a good book, and I recommend Ivan Doig. There is a lot of colorful language in there, but it seemed totally appropriate to, the scenario, so the people that were, populating this story. So anyway, good book. I recommend it. So that was for June on the Range. Now, I'm in the middle of a lot of books right now. I didn't bring it. It's upstairs. I'm reading The Green Grass of Wyoming by Mary O'Hara, which is the third book in the trilogy of My Friend Flicka. That's set in Wyoming. And I just started reading that yesterday, but I'm hoping to get done by the end of June, right? So I've got how many more days in June? 5 more days. So I'm hoping to get that done. It's not a hard read. And then yesterday I also started 2 other books that I'm also hoping to get done by the end of June. So what I've been doing, because I've been having such a hard time reading, I've started to put on a timer for 15 minutes and just sit and read something for 15 minutes. This is a little trick I have when I get out of focus and I can't seem to concentrate, and I'm sort of in a reading slump. It really works for me because it just sort of trains me, brings me back that discipline of being able to sink into a book. So that's what I've been doing the last few days, and it's working. So yesterday I started The Gambler, which I'm supposed to be reading this as a buddy read with Peg from the History Shelf and Christy Lewis of Dostoevsky in Space. And I don't know, they both seem really overwhelmed, but I think their spirit is willing, but maybe, I don't know. But anyway, I started it, and I'm planning to read it. And I just read chapter 1. I hope to get through a couple more chapters today. And I've been reading Alfred the Great. Now, I'm not going to read this whole book. I'm just going to read one part of it, and the part that is actually Astor's life of King Alfred. I'm going to read at least that. And so that's sort of for Historathon, although I already read a book that would fit in for Historathon, The Orphans of the Empire, which I don't think I ever reviewed or talked about here. But anyway, the sun is very dappled on my face. Anyway, so I'm gonna read parts of this, and then I started that yesterday, and then hopefully I'm gonna read a little bit more Edna St. Vincent Millay. I was having such trouble concentrating, and I started this poem and I realized that it was a long poem. So and I didn't have it. I just thought, no, I can't do that. I can't get through a poem right now. But maybe, it is quite long. They're all long. I don't know. It might be my Edna St. Vincent Millay. Oh, some of them are shorter in the back. Okay, I'm going to read a few poems by Edna St. Vincent Millay. She was my poet for June, and I've kind of let her down. Sorry, Edna. But maybe I'll get a few read. And then I'm ongoing buddy read the letters of Vincent van Gogh, and I kind of haven't read for the last few days, so I hope today to get to this. This is a very thick chapter. It's like over 100 pages. I mean, it's not a chapter, it's a collection of the letters from this particular time period. Oh, it also has some bad reproductions of his paintings. Very interesting book. It's going to be tragic. Of course, we know that it's tragic, but he's a very troubled person, very intelligent, sensitive, but there's something wrong with him mentally, but he's very passionate about his art, and I'm really into Vincent van Gogh right now. And then I'm also reading Romans for Summer of Paul, and I really like this study guide, so I'm thinking they have a collection of all the study guides in one volume, and I'm really thinking of getting them, because this is just Romans and Galatians, but I would like to have all the epistles of Paul. I'm really enjoying this. This is an incredibly informative introduction, really meaty stuff. So I'm starting on that. I mean, I've been reading it, actually. I'm not starting. I started it the 20th when my husband was having his hip surgery. So I'm doing that, and then I'm also reading The Lord. I only have one chapter left from part 1. We were reading part 1 in June, and I just finished the second to the last chapter in that section. So the next one, I'll probably read it tomorrow, is the Beatitudes. So yes, this is a very thought-provoking book. Am I enjoying it? It's really thought-provoking. It's really making me think. He's got a different perspective. It's kind of, maybe I've become complacent in my beliefs, and it's making me rethink things a little bit. Just every time I read it, I get a little off balance. For instance, in the chapter I just finished reading, he talks about how Jesus was always alone. There was always a huge chasm between him and other people, like his apostles. And he goes through and he gives all the instances where the apostles just didn't understand what Jesus was saying. Like, you could tell they just didn't get him. And that was like his human experience on earth, that just he could never be close to anybody. I never thought about that. It's thought-provoking. Now let's see, anything else that I need to talk about? The other thing is I DNF'd Seabiscuit. It turns out I can only read so much about horse racing. I just lost interest. I didn't feel like pushing myself. So now I'm reading Decluttering at the Speed of Life by Dana K. White, because I'm trying, that's another thing that's distracting me. I'm really trying to clean through my house and get rid of a lot of stuff. And once I go through and get rid of everything, I'm gonna try to organize it better. I'm working on my mudroom / laundry room, and there's a big back pantry that's just, it's a place where we throw things. I want to clean through that, so I'm slowly doing that. And then I want to work in my husband's study, which is just, that will include a big book unhaul, and just getting rid of all the stuff that just piles up on every surface. Both my husband and I are like that. Just any surface, junk starts to accumulate. And then I want to do my room and our walk-in closet. Those are the 3 areas I'm focusing on. And also I want to reorganize my little preschool for my grandsons, because when I have to start watching them again in August, halfway through August, I want to have a new setup and sort of refresh things, have new little play centers and a new schedule for how we do things, because I was really relying too much on them watching TV And I don't want to do that. I want to try to resist that. I only use that on days when I'm super tired or not feeling well or something, or maybe they're not feeling well. Yeah, and so I want to reorganize that. And next year, the 2-year-old is going to be going to preschool 2 mornings a week. So I'll have 2 mornings. Well, it's just a couple of hours, like 6 hours. But that's 6 hours that I don't usually have. So I'm looking forward to having a little bit more time. Anyway, so that's it from me for now. And I will attach a little video of my garden where I dropped my phone. But my garden is such a mess. It's so neglected this year, but I'm just doing what I can. I didn't even go out and weed this morning. I was going to, but the trouble is we have people coming early in the morning to do some work, and I just don't have the time. Anyway, so it's terrible to feel rushed when, it's 7 in the morning. You feel like you have to get stuff done because somebody's coming at 7:30. All right, well, I will talk to you later. I hope that your summer is going well. I hope your summer reading is going well. And I guess I'll talk to you later. I guess at the very end of June, I'll do or maybe the first day of July, I'll do a July TBR. So, all right, I hope you're doing well. Happy reading. Bye. Hello, everyone. I'm out in my garden, my very extremely neglected garden. I've been so bad this year. And it's about 8:22 in the morning and it's still cool, but the bugs are starting to get bad. So I'm just going to hurry up. I was just focusing on this one bed and I've been pulling weeds, as you can see. And I got my tomatoes growing. And I had forgotten completely that I had planted parsley. And this is English lavender, which I'm pretty excited about. And more tomatoes and more over there. And that's a big old weed I got to get rid of. And over here we have, I think it's either zucchini or yellow squash, but look at how it's just covered with weeds. And look, that leaf doesn't look too good. Yeah, something's eating this. I think I have a bad slug problem. Maybe that's slugs. While I was weeding, and this board, I used it for planting carrots. And somebody just threw it in the bed here, I think, when they came to weed, because we have gardeners that come a couple times a year. It's not enough. Look at that bed. Whew, so awful. But anyway, a little mouse jumped out and ran under that bed over there. So that was a little startling. Anyway, it's starting to get bad, so I'm just going to do as much as I can on this side. And hopefully, it's supposed to warm up again. We had really, really hot weather. And then it cooled off yesterday, and this morning it's still cool. But I'm just going to try to come out every morning and work for about 20 minutes and do what I can. Things are growing in spite of the fact. Okay, I dropped the camera, but I'll just show you around a little bit. This was my oats and peas, and they've just completely gone to seed. I'm going to really regret that later. This is just a jungle. I never even cleaned this up from last year. Do you see how bad that is? But I have planted some things, and some things are growing. Oops, somebody's alarm. The people next door have little kids. Here's my garlic that I'm pretty sure I have to harvest. Here's some carrots. That's my dog. And then I have some cucumbers growing. I gotta stake this one. I've got some cucumbers growing. So we did get strawberries, but now they're just beds of clover. I asked my son a couple weeks ago to please cut it all back, and he didn't. So, oh my gosh, this is a mess. So this just needs a weed whacker. Look at my beautiful hydrangeas. And look, the roses over there. And then up here, I planted, these are the lettuces that won't stop growing. They're still growing. And I've got a tomato that needs to be staked right here. And I've got a pepper plant, a banana pepper plant. Oh, look, I got a banana pepper. Oh, wow. I don't come out here enough. I just don't. It's such a mess. Oh, my goodness. I've been so bad this year. Look at my green stalk. Look, see, these are slugs. Those are marks of slug. So these died just because I wasn't watering them enough, and also they were past their prime. It was lettuce. But yeah, nothing is doing good in here. I might not be a green stalk person. I don't feel like I do well with green stalk. It requires too much attention from me. But over here, this is yarrow. It's blooming right now. But over here, these are the potatoes that are starting to die back. And then more potatoes, and then more potatoes over there. They're all starting to die back. So, yeah. Do I need to harvest them? I better look up what I'm supposed to do. And these are my choke berries, or aronia berries. They're starting to ripen. And let's see, what else out here? Oh, it's such a mess. Really, I just can't keep up. That's the problem. And look, this blueberry, this used to be our best blueberry bush, but the cherry bush has grown right into it. So we've got to cut this back in the fall and then do something. But I think the birds have just gotten all the berries on this. Oh boy. Yeah, I got to really pay attention to the blueberries right now. Anyway, okay, that was just a quick visit to my mess of a garden.